Madagascar. An island adrift in the Indian Ocean, it is less a country than a fragment of a dream. This is the eighth continent, a great biological shipwreck, isolated from Africa for over 88 million years. Here, evolution ran wild, conducting its most bizarre and wonderful experiments in solitude. The result is a world unlike any other. Forests of spiny alien plants, avenues of giant bulbous baobabs that seem planted upside down, and razor-sharp limestone pinnacles, the singi, that guard the land like a fortress. In the canopy of this strange world, a sound rings out. It is a wail, a mournful, ghostly siren that echoes through the trees. It is the voice of the Indri, the largest of its kind. And it is the sound of this island's soul, for this is the kingdom of the lemurs. We see them as phantoms, eyes glowing in the torchlight, small, agile bodies leaping impossible distances. We see them perhaps as evolutionary relics, primates, yes, but not monkeys, not apes, a side branch of our own family tree, left behind by time, the black and white ruffed lemur, Varesia variegata. We observe its seemingly simple existence, a life spent in the high canopy, searching, foraging, and above all, eating. We see it as a passive resident, a beautiful, endangered tourist attraction. We see it as an animal. But this perception is a profound illusion. What if this creature, this living fossil, is not a relic at all? What if it is a vital, active force of creation? What if that simple daily act of eating fruit is not mere sustenance, but a powerful act of engineering, an act of gardening on a continental scale? What if this primate is not just a resident of the Malagasy forest, but its chief architect, its principal planter, and the sole guarantor of its future? What if we told you that the fate of the very largest, most ancient trees on this island lies not in the soil, not in the rain, but in the gut of this single animal? This is not a hypothesis. It is a biological contract, written in co-evolutionary ink over millions of years. And it is a contract that is perilously close to being broken. The ruffed lemur is not just living in the forest, it is building it. The story begins, as so many great engineering projects do, with a choice high in the canopy. A ruffed lemur selects its target. It is not just any fruit. The lemur is a specialist, a connoisseur. It seeks out the largest, most nutritious fruits the forest has to offer. The trees it favors are the giants of the ecosystem, majestic hardwoods, species of rosewood, ebony, and palisander. These trees have produced a large, colorful, aromatic offering. This is not an accident. This fruit is a signal, a payment for a service. The lemur eats. It is a messy, ravenous eater, a frugivorous specialist. It devours the pulp, and with it, the seeds, dozens, sometimes hundreds, of large, hard seeds. And here, the first phase of the engineering process begins. Inside the lemur's specialized digestive system, a remarkable transformation occurs. Unlike other primates, the ruffed lemur has an exceptionally fast gut. The seeds do not linger. They are not destroyed by powerful acids. Instead, they pass through the lemur's system in a matter of hours. But in that short journey, they are profoundly changed. The digestive process meticulously strips away all the fleshy, sugar-rich pulp. This is the first critical service. That sweet pulp, so attractive to the lemur, is a death sentence for the seed if left to rot on the forest floor. It attracts insects, fungi, and pathogens that would instantly destroy the embryo within. The seed emerges from the lemur, not just cleaned, but scarified. The brief exposure to digestive enzymes weakens the hard outer shell, a process that wakes up the dormant seed, signaling that it is time to germinate. It is, in essence, perfectly primed for life. But the lemur service does not end there. The second phase of the project is motion. The lemur is a highly mobile creature. covering vast distances in its daily search for food. After feeding in the crown of a giant hardwood, it does not stay. It travels, moving through the canopy, sometimes for kilometers, and when it finally defecates, it deposits those seeds far from the shadow of the parent tree. This act of transportation is, perhaps, the single most important ecological event in the Malagasy rainforest. Why? A seed that simply falls to the ground beneath its parent is doomed. It lands in an area of intense competition, not just from its own massive parent, which hogs all the sunlight and soil nutrients, but from the thousands of other seeds that have also fallen. It lands in a danger zone, a hotspot for seed predators. Specialized beetles, for instance, are drawn to the scent of the parent tree and will systematically destroy nearly every seed they find on the forest floor. The lemur, in its movement, shatters this cycle of death. It acts as a getaway vehicle. It rescues the seed from the zone of high mortality and gives it a chance. But it does more than that. As primate biologist Dr. Patricia Wright has observed, the ruffed lemur is not just moving seeds, it is planting the next forest. It is performing long-distance dispersal that is absolutely essential for the genetic health and expansion of these tree species. The lemur deposits the seed, not just clean and scarified, but packaged in its own high-nutrient organic fertilizer. It is a perfect planting, delivered to a new, random location, far from predators, far from competition. This is the ecological domino effect in its purest form. The engineering action, eating, triggers a cascade. The immediate consequence is the seed's survival. The ecosystem reaction is immediate. Where a seed would have rotted, it now germinates. A tiny sapling pushes up through the leaf litter, carrying the genetic legacy of a giant from kilometers away, but the cascade deepens. We must consider the ghosts of this ecosystem. Many of Madagascar's most valuable trees produce enormous fruits so large that they seem anachronistic, a puzzle for biologists. As botanist Dr. Henrik Janssen explains, we see these massive fruits and wonder, what on earth is supposed to eat this? The answer is that the original partners are gone. Madagascar was once home to Megalodapus, the giant lemur, an animal the size of a gorilla. These megafauna were the original engineers, the dispersers of these megafaunal fruits. They were hunted to extinction by the first humans to arrive on the island. Their disappearance left the trees in a desperate lurch. The engineers were gone. The contract was broken. And yet, the trees persist. Why? Because Varisha, the ruffed lemur, is the last one standing. It is the only animal left in the entire ecosystem with a gape wide enough and a gut specialized enough to process the seeds of these giants. It has taken on the mantle of its extinct, larger cousins. It is the last, thin, furry line holding the entire canopy structure together. Remove this one species, and the cascade effect becomes a catastrophe. The seeds of the largest hardwoods would have no vector. They would fall, and they would rot. The reproduction of the forest's most important trees would, in a single generation, cease. The genetic flow across the landscape would stop, isolating populations and leading to an inevitable extinction debt. We must now jump forward in time. We must visualize the consequences of this engineering on a geological, not a human timescale. Let us look at a healthy Malagasy forest, a pocket of wilderness where the ruffed lemurs still thrive. What we see is not a static collection of trees. It is a dynamic, chaotic, and vibrant metropolis. It is a forest built by lemurs. The very composition of the canopy, the spacing of the giants, the genetic diversity of the hardwoods, this is not a random distribution. It is a living map of decades, even centuries of lemur behavior. It is a testament to their foraging paths, their territorial disputes, their preferred sleeping spots. Every giant rosewood is a monument, planted 50 or 100 years ago by an ancestor of the lemurs we see today. The winners in this lemur-engineered reality are, first, the great hardwood trees themselves. Their lineage is secured. Their genetic code is flung far and wide across the landscape, allowing them to colonize new areas, adapt to changing microclimates, and maintain a robust, healthy population. The other winners are everyone else. These giant trees planted by lemurs are the keystones of the keystone. They create the high canopy structure that hundreds of other species depend on. The birds that nest in their branches, the insects that feed on their leaves, the geckos and chameleons that hunt along their bark, the smaller lemurs, like the mouse lemur, that live in their shadows, and even the fossa, Madagascar's apex predator, wins. The fossa hunts lemurs, and a healthy lemur population, sustained by a healthy fruit supply, means a healthy predator population. The entire food web, from the canopy down to the soil, is underwritten by this one singular relationship. The ecological irony is profound. We see the lemur as a primitive primate, a living fossil, yet its ancient biology, its simple gut, is the most sophisticated and critical piece of technology in the entire ecosystem. It is a force of futurity. It is the engine of the forest's creation and renewal. The animal we relegate to the past is, in fact, the only thing ensuring the forest has a future. Now, we must contrast this with the alternative. We must look at the new reality that is tragically becoming the norm. The world without the engineer. We enter a different patch of forest. From a distance, it looks green. It looks intact. The satellite images would call this forest cover. But on the ground, something is deeply, terribly wrong. It is quiet, too quiet. The great trees are still here, standing like silent, aging sentinels, but the understory is empty. There are no saplings, there are no teenage trees. There is only the old guard, and the forest floor is barren or choked with fast-growing, opportunistic vines. This is what scientists call the empty forest syndrome. The animals are gone. The lemurs, hunted for bushmeat or squeezed out by habitat fragmentation, have vanished, and with them, the gardening has stopped. The trees still fruit. They produce their massive, hopeful offerings year after year, but the payment is never collected. The fruits fall. They lie in a thickening mat on the forest floor, where they rot. The seeds are consumed by beetles. The cycle is broken. The silence we hear is the sound of an ecosystem dying on its feet. This is a zombie forest, a museum of what once was. Its giants are still capturing carbon. They are still producing oxygen, but they are sterile. They are the living dead. When these last ancient trees finally fall, there will be nothing to replace them. The hardwood canopy will collapse, and the entire ecosystem will change, replaced by a lower, scrubbier, less diverse, and less resilient environment. The loss of the lemur is not just the loss of a species. It is the loss of a process. It is the loss of the island's future. The power of this single engineer is staggering. The lemur's role transcends simple biology. It is a geologic force. The hardwood trees it plants are among the most effective carbon sinks on the planet. Their dense wood, built over centuries, locks away vast amounts of atmospheric carbon. The ruffed lemur, in its daily quest for food, is therefore a critical ally in climate regulation. The animal we are allowing to go extinct is, ironically, a key steward of the planet's stability, so we are left with a legacy, a living, breathing history written across the island. The ruffed lemur, this small primate with the ghostly whale, is not a passenger on this great shipwreck of an island. It is the navigator. It is the engine. Its story forces us to reconsider our place in the world. We believe we are the only engineers, the only intelligence capable of shaping the planet. We are wrong. The world, it turns out, is not a static backdrop. It is a dynamic system, an arena of architects, builders, and gardeners, and most of them are not human. The lemur's story is a simple one, a story of an appetite, a story of a journey through a gut, a story of a seed falling in a new place. From this simple cycle, an entire world is born. A continent's unique botanical architecture is held in the grasp of this single, subestimated animal. It forces us to ask a profound question. If the future of a forest depends on the journey of a seed through a primate's stomach, how fragile is this world we claim to understand? And what other gardeners, what other silent engineers are at work all around us, holding ecosystems together in ways we have not yet even begun to comprehend? The next time we look at the wild, we must see it not as a collection of things, but as a network of forces. The history of Madagascar is not just geology. It is biology. It is the story of a contract, a partnership, millions of years old, and as we watch that ruffed lemur leap from one branch to the next, we must realize it is not just moving to another tree. It is deciding, in that very moment, where the forest of the next century will grow. But this is just one of the millions of engineering stories happening right beneath our feet. What other ecosystem engineer do you think has shaped our world in secret? Let us know your theory in the comments. If you enjoy discovering the hidden forces that truly control the planet, subscribe to Ecosystem Engineers and activate the bell, because nature is never still.